Welcome to our mini class today. I'm holding my cat Tika so I can feel him purring. We're talking about vibration today. And cats purr as a way of relaxing themselves. And people can do the same sort of thing. We don't call it purring, but humming or making sound. You see noticing? So for our purposes, making the sound, the humming sound with the breath can bring our system into a little more calm and ease. And this is actually a technique that's been used in yoga for many, many years, but it's also been recently discovered to have this calming effect through studies that have been done. And Peter Levine talks about this in his trauma therapy, somatic experiencing, which some of you may be familiar with. So that idea of sort of settling the system through making sound, through vibration. And so last week, in some of the classes, we did this butterfly hug where we cross the hands and hook the thumbs and bring the fingertips just below the collarbones. And we use this in sort of a rhythmic way, patting one side or tapping one side into the other, as a way of restoring balance and bringing the two sides of the brain back into harmony. And this is often good to do if we're feeling a little bit stressed out and we want to try and restore our balance. We can also add in humming here. So as you come into the butterfly hug, you can also, as you're exhaling, just make a gentle, light humming sound with your breath. You can try that in your own breath rhythm. You might want to close your eyes to really tune in. And then letting that go. Just pause for a moment. You can fold the hands here. Let go of the sounding. Just notice what is present for you right now. What do you notice in your body? Maybe in your mind or emotion. And then you can release. So as we go through the practice today, I'll invite you to use sounding sometimes, let it go at other times, and we'll pause in between and really tune in and notice any effects. You may not notice any effects. It can be quite subtle, or it can take time, like doing this every day for a week or two, and then you might sort of start to feel some impact over time. So whatever you feel is perfectly great, and we'll see you on the mat. So we're going to come into the all fours or table position in the mat. So let's do that. Coming down onto your hands and knees. So here again, I invite you, if you like, to use that humming sound on your exhale. So our inhale, we're arching the back, lifting the tail and slightly lifting the head. On the exhale, you're rounding or adding child's pose to your rounding. So inhaling as you come into the all fours, arch position, and then humming, if you like, as you exhale. At your own comfortable pace. Whether the alternate is to just round the back if child's pose isn't comfortable. Great, and then letting that go, I'm going to invite you into any version of child's pose that works for you. So it could literally be staying here and just dropping onto your forearms, keeping your hips up. And that's a nice option for knees and ankles that don't particularly like child's pose. The option I really like is to take the knees apart and bring the hips back toward the heels and the head down. And that gives me a lot more space for breath and for my belly. So you might choose that, or you can have the knees together. And the arms can either come under your head, or you can rest on your forearms, or arms stretched out, or back by your feet. So lots of options. So I encourage you to find what works for you. Find that position, and we'll stay for a few breaths wherever you are. As you're staying, it's really tuning into what you're aware of in your body, your mind, and your emotions. When you're ready, come up slowly. And you can swing around to come to sit. And when you come to sit, you can take your legs out in front of you, feet on the floor, and use your hands to support you behind you. Try not to lock your elbows and jam your shoulders up. So think about chest lifting, and hands are there for support. And then a little movement side to side with your knees. Tune into what your hips have to say. You may also want to tune into your shoulders. So as the knees go down further, you want to make sure you're not straining the back shoulder, so you can actually lift the hand and let that arm come with you if you like, or if it's comfortable for you, that arm can stay on the ground. Now you will shift forward as you do this. So you might want to just shift your hips back every few rounds, or you can walk your hands forward so that you're in a good position. Great, so let's take the knees down to one side, and if you can bring your knees right to the floor, great. If you want to stack your legs, if that's more comfortable, you can stack the upper leg on top of the lower leg. And then you're going to use the hand behind you to lengthen your spine and bring the other arm either hand to the thigh or to the ground if that's available to you, looking over your shoulder for 1 or 2 breaths. And then we'll release, come around the other way. So again, legs wider apart, it's going to be more twist in the hips. You can stack the legs if you like, if that's more comfortable. The back arm releases, comes to the leg or the ground, and you're pressing into both hands to lengthen your spine as you twist for 1 or 2 breaths here. And then we'll come back around to the center. Stretch your legs out, a little shake. Great. And then we're going to come to lie right down on the mat. So as you come to the ground, we'll bring the knees into the chest and do a little forward and back movement. And this is just to bring the spine back to a nice length and alignment after our hip and spine twist there. And then as you're ready, you can let your feet come to the ground. And here you want to line your heels up more or less under your knees. Could be a little further away, so a little less flexion in the knees if that's more comfortable for your knees. But in general, lined up underneath the knees. And you want your feet about hip distance apart. And by hip distance, I don't mean the outer flesh, but the bones of your hips. So you can find those bones on top here. They're roughly equivalent to where your sit bones are. Sit bones are often a little bit in, but somewhere in that range, right? So yeah, maybe 8 inches, 6 inches apart, something like that. So not as wide as you may think. And then arms can rest on the ground. And we're going to come back to the option of making sounds. It's always optional. So here, the mouth opens, and you're going to make a ha sound as you exhale. So we'll be lifting on the inhale, sighing and dropping down on the exhale. So look like this. Inhale, lift. Letting the body sink down. So try that in your own time. You can take an extra breath when you come to the ground to reorient your breath for the next round. And then when you're ready, you'll lift the breath in. As you come down. Inhale, lift. Do a couple more at your own pace. And then when you come down this time, stay there. Bring one knee up into the chest. We'll do a little movement to stretch out the back of the leg a little bit. So you can hold on to the leg if that's available to you. Maybe holding on to the sides of your pants if that's more comfortable, or not holding it on at all. And we'll move the leg straighter toward the ceiling until you feel some expansion or stretch in the back of the leg, and then bend the knee in. So wherever you want to hold on or not is fine, and you're just moving the leg until you feel a gentle stretch and then bringing it in. So gentle stretch and release. So if you can't reach your leg, don't worry about it. Sometimes the arms, the proportion of the arms, if the leg is a little tighter, it's going to be further away. You can leave the leg in the air. You can put a little bend or have it straight, whatever's comfortable for you. Circle your ankle around. Circle one way and then the other. And then relax your foot and give that leg a little shake. Just let your leg kind of vibrate there. The least amount of effort required to make this happen. Here you go. And then bending your knee, release the foot to the floor. And let's pause for a moment and notice, how does one leg feel compared with the other leg? And then we'll work with the other side. So same thing, holding on or not as you straighten to just a nice, easy, comfortable stretch. And then bend to release that stretch. So up and release. Keep the leg there. Any amount of straightness is fine. Circle the ankle around. In one direction and then the other. And then you're going to relax your ankle completely. And again, with a little effort, just vibrate or shake the leg. Okay, and then let it come to stillness, releasing the foot to the floor. And again, notice whatever sensations you're aware of in that leg. Maybe how it feels different from the other leg, which we worked with earlier. And then for the next one, you might find it helpful to have a block handy. And it could really be anything. It could be a firm cushion, something to lift your foot off the ground. So this may or may not be necessary for you. So we're going to take whichever leg you work with first, you're going to take that leg and bend it so the ankle is just above the knee on the other side. And then you can take your hand to that thigh and gently, very gently press the thigh away from you. So you may start to feel something in your hip. You may feel some stretch or some tension in your hip. So notice that. And then if you want more stretch, you're going to bring the legs closer to your body. And you can do that in a variety of different ways. So one way is literally just to bring the legs closer, come up onto your tippy toes. And then if that's not enough, you might want to place a block underneath that foot. Again, bringing the legs closer to you. If that's still not enough, and you can reach your leg, you can either, again, grab the sides of your pants and gently lift the leg towards you. Or if your proportions are right and your hips are allowing this, you can reach one hand between your legs, the other hand around the outside, and clasp your hands behind your thigh. So lots of options. This one it's quite advanced to get into the full pose in terms of the hip flexibility required. And you really want to make sure that you're not straining the knee of the leg that's up and out to the side. So if your hip is tight, the knee may try to twist, and you don't want that. So you're just going to back off if that's the case. And wherever you are, if you want, you can rock a little side to side, inviting some ease into that hip. Right, and for our last 2 or 3 breaths here, I invite you to come to a place where you feel a good stretch, not too much, but that you feel a significant stretch. You're going to inhale and notice where that stretch is. Exhale, humming. And as you're humming, imagine that vibration brings a little more ease into wherever you feel the tightness. So inhale to where you feel tightness. Exhale, humming. Maybe one more breath here. And if you've had enough at any point, you just release when you're ready. And then eventually releasing. Coming back, both feet on the ground, a little rocking movement side to side, just releasing across the back of the sacrum a little bit. So it's not a full twist, but just a little rocking release. And then when you're ready, we'll try that same stretch on the other side. So this can be a good stretch if you suffer from tightness in the hip. And sometimes even if you feel a referring pain down the leg, this can help to open up some of that space. There may be something else going on that you want to get checked out. But if it's just muscle tightness, this can be a nice relief for that. So again, starting with the ankle above the opposite thigh, above the opposite knee on the thigh, you can start by gently pressing your hand away, or your leg away with your hand. If that feels like enough for you, congratulations. You don't have to do anything else here to get a stretch. If you want more, you can again try bringing the legs a little closer by coming onto your toes or sliding a block underneath your foot, which I like that option rather than the toes because I can get really grounded here and feel really secure. But if you don't have a block, you can do whatever you need to. In fact, a chair works really well here. So you have your lower leg on a chair and have that coming closer or further away as it feels best for you. The other option again would be to hold on to your pant leg and pull in, or reach around with your hands, or if you happen to have a belt or even a sock can be just enough to extend your reach a little bit. So you're going to find, excuse me, find the position that works best for you. Stay there, maybe rocking a bit from side to side. That feels good. And then for our last few breaths here, finding a position where it feels like a really good stretch. It's not too much, so you're not tensing up to resist the stretch. And as you breathe in, notice where you feel the most sensation of stretch. And as you exhale, send your humming breath into that tightness. Wonderful. And again, when you're ready, you can allow the legs to release. Bring the feet back to the floor. And again, it's that little rocking movement over your sacrum. So it's not a full twist, just letting the knees go a few inches one way, a few inches the other. Okay. And then arms to the sides, feet lined up under the knees. Let's do a few more bridge poses with that sighing breath. Inhale, you're lifting. And let's do two more like that. Last one. Again, you can bring your knees into your chest, forward and back, inhaling as the knees move away, exhaling as the knees move in. If you want a little more here, you can vary it by extending the arms to the sides or overhead as you extend the legs, and then knees back to your chest, hands to knees. So you inhale if you're coordinating the breath as you reach out, exhale as you squeeze in. A few more at your own pace, either that gentle back and forth with the knees or extending and coming back into the center. Okay, and then hugging the knees for a breath or two. Maybe rocking a little bit if that feels good. And then let's take the feet back to the floor. You can roll onto your side again, or not again, roll onto your side and come up to a seated position. Now, if standing is more comfortable than sitting, you could come to stand. We'll just be another minute or so. So if you want to sit on a chair or use a cushion to help to be more comfortable, please do. We're going to come back to the butterfly hug. So you're going to cross your hands and hook your thumbs, and then probably you did this exactly the same way as you did at the beginning. So you cross one hand in front of the other. I'm going to encourage you to cross the other hand in front and then hook your thumbs. So again, just mixing up the brain a little bit. Fingertips below your collarbones, hands resting with some firmness on the center of your chest. And this time we're going to use the sound ah with a nice wide open mouth as we do this bilateral tapping. So we'll just do 3 breaths, breathing in. If your breath is shorter, just go ahead and breathe in whenever you're ready. If it's longer, you can keep sounding, and then 2 more breaths. And then coming to stillness with the voice, with the hands. Bringing your palms together and taking a moment in gratitude for this time of self-care that you've given to yourself today. And I encourage you to use these vibrational sounds, the humming and the ah breath, with or without the butterfly hug, whenever you might feel a need of a little more ease and a little more sort of grounding in your life. Namaste.